What do you get when you mix baseball and football?
Play ball.
Base footballs?
No. This is Bunts and Bruises. If it's the weekly hot topics in sports, we're talking about it.
We're talking about it.
And we're having fun. Your home for sports and entertainment. We're the best at rolling with the punches. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is Bunts and Bruises. And here's your host, Bars.
It is a beautiful day. My friend Jake, how are you doing today, bud?
Dude, I'm pumped up right now.
Oh,
that
how can you
intro
not
just
be?
makes me smile, gets me going. I'm not
Every
gonna
time.
lie.
Every time,
I'm
bro.
ready to run through a brick wall. Like
Best 40 seconds of my life, you know?
that was
But
good. Yeah, oh, dude, it gets me
regardless,
going
man.
every time.
What better way than to start this show with this energy? So
Yeah.
earlier this week, we went in detail about the Giants draft. We opened our new show, the Big Blue Bodega. Your
Absolutely.
one-stop shop for everything Giants. Check it out. It's up there. It's uploaded. But regardless, today we're going to do the full draft. We're about to break it down. And we decided since so much happened in this draft, we needed to have a couple other handsome fellas besides me and you. So we're welcoming back a friend of the show and our Jets analyst, Eugene Calabro. Gene, how you doing today, bud?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great. And we're welcoming old-time friend from the Off-Ball Network, their senior director in football, and that is the one, the only Couch Coach of Couch Coach Live. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good, Bars. What's going on?
I'm doing good. I like that you already renovated. You got the Sam Howell jersey hanging in the back. You wasted no time.
I'm getting a Howell. I'm getting a 14 Howell. Yeah.
You know, you came close. You tried your best.
That's my last name. Yeah. So yeah.
I know. How hyped were you? Because I know we've done so many shows, and you kept mentioning this kid from North Carolina. The fact that he actually ended up in the Commanders, but not even you thought he was gonna go in the first round. You guys got him in the 5th round. How hyped were you that you got that kind of value?
Oh, excited. I made a mission on Saturday. Look, I'm gonna barricade myself in my house until Sam Howell gets drafted. To a point, hey, I want to see this man get drafted. When the first pick in the 5th round, when they said Sam Howell, University of North Carolina, you literally thought I was in this house thinking that the Commanders has won the Super Bowl. I mean, it was literally like euphoric. You could have heard my voice, my shouts on the street. It was that loud. It was that piercing.
You know, Coach, you've spoken it into existence. That's what happened because I've heard you talk about it for years and years now. But speaking into existence, there was a lot of just people were talking about how crazy this draft could be before it even started, guys. And it got crazy because of just how many people were like, there could be like 12 trades. And no one believed them when the whole process was starting because everyone says that, oh, this great draft is going to be crazy. It's going to be like at least 5 day one trades. We got almost double that. We got 9 trades in day one. We're going to try and talk about all of them, guys. We can't break it all down because that's just way too much to try to get down in the hour. But we are going to start off with the first trade that happened, briefly get into it. And that was with the Saints trading for Chris Olave, number 11. And they traded the 16th, their 3rd rounder, and their 4th rounder. Gene, what was your reaction when you saw this happen? Because I know all of us didn't think he was going to be the first guy to go.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I just don't understand what the Saints – they made 2 trades to move up in the 1st round to give up future assets just to get – I mean, in my eyes, just like, you know, a younger version of Will Fuller, you know. He's just a go-route receiver. We have to see him prove it in the NFL if he can run a full route tree. But I was curious. I thought that Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett was going to be that pick, to be honest. I was surprised.
I think it's even crazier that they didn't become that pick for another 9 picks, and it was Kenny Pickett that went first. Coach, you were there in Indianapolis, correct me if I'm wrong, during the Combine.
Yes.
Did you see anything special maybe out of the kid that could warrant for this trade? Because the Saints technically didn't trade once, but they traded twice now to move up to that 11th pick.
Yeah, I was really shocked, and almost a Gene point where I was like, you know, because normally in most circumstances, when you're trading up that high, it's got to be a quarterback. It's like, and we'll talk about other trades, but it's like you went up to get him that. Not, like you said, Olave, he really, I know the Ohio State wide receivers, they got cachet in this league as far as, they look at their success, but no, not to a point where they lost like most assets. They gave us 2 other additional picks, which, we'll be great beneficiaries of those. But yeah, like I said, they moved up, not just on Thursday, but prior with Philly, a few weeks prior to it. I definitely think it was not worth it, considering the fact that normally in that spot we look at quarterbacks at that point, like as far as trading up for a quarterback.
So, Jake, something tells me, I don't know why, I feel like you're like a little hidden Detroit Lions fan. I don't know why. Like, it feels like you just root for them sometimes. You just give me that vibe. So, with the very next pick, Detroit went all the way from the 32nd pick, and they gave up their 34th pick in the second round, which is essentially a late first, and their third rounder for this intra-divisional trade, which you almost never see happen, which explains why they had to give up so much, for Jameson Williams. A lot of people think should have been the number 1 guy to go over Chris Olave. What did you think when you see this move? Did you think Detroit's making moves? Did you think this was the right move for them, or you think they might have overpaid a little bit for this guy?
I don't think overpaid is the word. I think this is the right move. They're getting a position of need. They're getting arguably the best receiver in the draft. They got 2 generational talents now, both potential generational talents from both sides of the ball at wide receiver and defensive end. Matt, that's a win in my book. You know what I mean? You're a roster that does not have a lot of talent. You're adding more talent now to both sides of the ball. You're getting Jared Goff help to see if he potentially could be what people thought he was going to be in a solid quarterback. So I don't think they overpaid, especially with the way wide receivers are going right now. And you just saw people not wanting to pay wide receivers. So I don't think they overpaid. And I think James Williams is a great receiver. I mean, he dominated Alabama all year last year before he got hurt. But it was a great pick in my mind, honestly.
I really think they're making moves here, low-key in Detroit. I personally love the trade because even if you could say it's a weapon for Jared Goff right now, but even if he isn't the guy, because everyone knows he isn't the guy, you already got that weapon built in and ready for whoever you end up bringing in or whoever you end up drafting. So you took the offensive lineman last year. You got the weapon this year, and you also got the defensive lineman who's going to just be a terror against quarterbacks in that division. So they're building something special. As crazy as the kneecap spiting might have been, I think they're actually doing something pretty impressive.
I mean, yeah, they probably have one of the more exciting young wide receiver tandems in Amon St. Brown and Jameson Williams. I wouldn't say more exciting, but they're definitely one to watch, and it would be a fun wide receiver room for sure.
Oh, definitely. So that was the end of rookie wide receivers being traded around. And the biggest trade that happened, not the biggest trade, but definitely one of the biggest, it could be the biggest trade, but made the most noise because no one saw it coming. I don't know. Did any of you guys see this coming when that notification popped up, wherever you saw Twitter, the TV, your friend calling?
I didn't want to see it coming.
So it ended up being Hollywood Brown getting traded to the Arizona Cardinals for the 23rd pick. Hollywood Brown and a third rounder. I had zero expectations of Hollywood Brown, ended up leaving the Ravens. Gene, what was your reaction when you saw this?
My initial reaction was like, what's going on here? Why? And then when you sit back and you think about it, I mean, I understand why Hollywood Brown wants out. He's seeing all this money that's getting thrown around the market, and his numbers are down because he's on a running system. And he pretty much just wanted out. And then, you know, when you're getting a first-round pick back, first and a third, for a receiver who realistically didn't even put up big numbers, you know, it's hard to say no to. But I think he's going to light it up in Arizona with his college quarterback again, for sure.
See, a lot of people are saying Arizona overpaid a little bit, but I honestly, it's Hollywood and Kyler played it in college. Correct me if I'm wrong. You know,
no, you're right. For 2 years,
yeah, they were teammates.
Exactly.
But still, first and a third, AJ Brown went for that.
That built-in chemistry, though, that's worth a little something, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Coach, do you think that Hollywood is going to end up looking like a wide receiver one? And out of nowhere, after the draft, also, this Deandre Hopkins news came out, where now he's going to be suspended. I think it's 7 games because of PEDs.
Six.
So do you think they had a little they had to know it before they made this trade, which is why they made the trade?
Yeah, I'm 100% right. It's because it's almost like when it happened on Monday, you're like, this is why they did this. That's the first thing I thought, because now you're gonna get a guy that can potentially be a number one for at least for 6 weeks. So that's the thing where this is a great opportunity for him to show out, because like you said, he wants that money. He gonna get that money once he performs, because we all know he could be like a Christian Kirk, where he pretty much created this market for wide receivers, this year. So he could be that kind of guy where, hey, and like you said, to Gene's point, where he's in Baltimore, their run focused offense. So it's going to be very rare for him to get that and then kind of command that kind of money when he's not even really, I would say, a second or third viable option. You look at like Mark Andrews, really their guy, and then also Bateman is going to be probably, you would assume he'll be healthy this year. He'll be another option as well. He would have been third or fourth fiddle on that team anyway.
It's true, but I mean, he was that deep threat. I feel like, I don't know. I'm not as big on Bateman as other people are. I guess there's just something. I haven't watched as many Ravens games as I like to see. Yeah, he runs a good route, but I mean, I'm not seeing anything special, But speaking of special, there was another wide receiver who got traded, another big name. One of our friends, Zach, Gene, he actually was upset that the Jets didn't make this trade, and you didn't agree with him. And that was Philadelphia trading for A.J. Brown for the 18th and a third-round pick. What did you think about this trade when you saw? Were you upset? At the moment you said you weren't upset, but now that some time has passed, are you a little upset? Do you think the Jets should have made that move?
No, I don't. I mean, the value that they gave up, I think, is fair. I just think the fact that the Jets got Garrett Wilson at 10 without having to pay all that money and losing the picks, I have no problem with it at all. None.
Jake, what did you think about this trade? You think it was because, there are division rival right now. I was upset to see that trade. I think this is the trade you thought I was talking about before when you said
this was the trade I thought you were going to mention before this.
I was wondering what you had against Hollywood, man. I was like, I guess.
I don't mind them or him or Arizona. I was honestly very upset to see A.J. Brown go to the Eagles. I mean, he's a devastating receiver. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is a for real good NFL quarterback. I mean, he's shown flashes. This is going to be the prove all year. He's going to got a pretty loaded offense. Miles Sanders, Devontae Smith, and now A.J. Brown. So we can't really get it done this year. I mean, they're going to have to move on. But this was a great move for them. Like, don't get me wrong. They're getting a number one receiver and arguably a top 10, top 5 receiver. So this is a great move for them.
For sure. I mean, Coach, they're your cross-division rival as well. What was your reaction when you saw this trade?
When it happened, I was like, man, not fair. Like, and that's kind of one of those weapons that you look at now that they essentially need, especially to Jake's point as far as Devontae Smith. They got, another guy on the other side as well. So it's, and like you said, this is, just Jalen Hurts. He's got to perform. Now he has no excuse. We can say, hey, he don't really have a receiver. Last year, Devontae was a rookie. Now, hey, he has it, and they have to, they really have to compete for the NFC East.
Me personally, I love A.J. Brown as a receiver. This happens to me all the time, man. It's the players I love, whether they're in college and it comes to the draft or it's like a free agent. They go to either Philadelphia or the Cowboys, and now I just gotta hate him for the rest of it. I'm just, he's such a great player too, man. And personally, how do you guys feel about, Tennessee taking Treylon Burks? I believe his name is, because some people say, hey, receivers, you can swap them in and out, like Gene saying, first round pick Garrett Wilson over A.J. Brown. Do you think Treylon Burks is around the same talent? Floor is open. Whoever wants to speak up.
Mm-hmm. I'll go first. I'm not a fan of Treylon Burks, and I have been very open about that. I mean, you can say what you want. I don't see really a great route runner. I just see kind of a big body, a little slower than, he might be a little faster than what I'm giving him credit for. But I mean, I see at best I would, people kind of compare him to Anquan Bolden. I think he'll be more closer like a Kelvin Benjamin. Maybe a good season or two, but it's just my personal opinion. He's a big body receiver. I don't like him. I don't have faith in him. And you can say what you want. I mean, good if he pans out in the NFL, great for him. All for it. Go get your money, kid. I don't personally see it, and I think paying A.J. Brown would have been the better move than taking Treylon Burks.
I tend to agree with you, man. It's just something about A.J. Brown. He's a little better than your average receiver. It is easy to replace a receiver, but he brings a little something different. He brings that big playmaking ability. He has that home run ability, and not every receiver has that. It's just a fact. And so we're going up to the last trade that we're going to speak of because there's just so many damn trades. We're not going to fit them all. And the last trade, Gene, I want you to start off. That is your New York Jets trading for the 26th pick and the third rounder for the second round, the third round, and the fifth round to Tennessee.
I think it was probably the best trade of the draft, obviously. Biased opinion. But when a guy that, in my mind, I heard rumors that they were thinking about taking him at 4. And if you're getting the guy that you were considering taking at 4, 22 picks later, it's a home run. What they swapped picks, and then they gave up a second, they swapped a third, and gave up a fifth. So they actually only lost one pick. It was a fifth. I think it's a home run. I think Jermaine Johnson could be a double-digit sack guy. Maybe not year one, but for a good stretch of years to come.
Coach, something tells me you watch a lot more college than I do because I make it known I only watch college when it comes up to the draft. How did you feel about this trade? Is Jermaine Johnson really up there in that upper echelon of pass rusher?
He's legit, and the thing about it is, I think he did his thing. Obviously, ACC guy, seeing them often, obviously with Florida State, and then also this is what he does. I think he's definitely gonna be a great fit in that jet scheme. And then you think about it, he came from Georgia, so just imagine like the logjam of Georgia defenders. He would have been that 16th. Could he be our honorary 16th pick from Georgia, honestly? But I think he's going to be a guy I think they could plug in day one, like as far as plug and play kind of guy. So absolutely. I definitely love it. I love it. I love what the Jets did.
I as much as it hurts me to say, man, they did have a great draft. There's nothing you could be upset about. They got the number one cornerback. They got arguably the number one wide receiver. I personally think it's Jameson Williams. It's not being biased. Throw that arguably in there. I arguably think it's Jameson Williams. And then they got the number 3 pass rusher, and arguably, not even arguably, they got the number 1 running back as well in the second round. So they killed it, man. I gotta admit, they killed it. But other than that, that wraps up the trade talk. So speaking of, I'm just going to go ahead and jump to Eugene and make an assumption here. We're going to go ahead and go to our next topic, and that is the winner of the draft. Something tells me you got a little biased opinion, but at the same time, if all the facts I just said, maybe it's not that biased.
It's not biased. As much as I'll say it, it's not biased. They just got cornerstone players at 3 premium positions. And yes, wide receiver in this NFL in these day and age is a premium position these days. There's no doubt about it. It's getting paid like a premium position. The quarterbacks want to play with these big-time players, and that's just the way it is. So they got a number 1 corner, lockdown corner, number 1 receiver who they think is going to come in. They was the number 1 receiver on their board, and they got a pure pass rush, pin his ears back, get after the quarterback pass rusher, and a low-key 1,200-yard potential running back in the second round.
It's very hard. They're number 1, if not number 1. They're number 2. I think the Baltimore Ravens had almost as good a draft. They got arguably where some people were saying was the best player in the entire draft when the draft season was starting, and that's in Kyle Hamilton. He was arguably going to go somewhere in the top 4, and they got him at 14. And then after that, they made a couple trades. Yes, they traded Hollywood Brown, but they got the best center prospect for almost the past decade. Yes, he has stubby arms, but aside from that, when the draft process was starting, he was arguably the number 1 offensive lineman coming out. And you always love those Iowa guys. And then from that, they had 6 fourth-round picks. That's unheard of. And those fourth-round picks are very underrated because you don't even have to hit on all 6. You hit on half of those. That's all you need. All you need because that is 3. You hit on exactly. You hit on 3, it's a home run. You hit on 2, it's a good draft. So I just, you can't argue about anything here. You're a little upset that they traded. I believe they drafted a punter with one of those 4th-round picks, but he's the best punter in the draft. So you got 4.
Yeah, the Ravens have been good for 20 years. You don't question how they draft.
Exactly. Coach, who do you have as the winner of the draft if it's not the Ravens or the Jets?
Actually, I do agree on both of those as well. But I have to give it to our 95 brethren, the Philadelphia Eagles. Fail. You get a guy like a Jordan Davis. I like that acquisition as well. And then also getting the Kobe Dean. I think he was a guy, and a lot of people, if you look at it from a college football perspective, he was really the household name of that Georgia defense. It's almost like if you knew, in Athens, Georgia, he was a household name on that defense. And to get him, even I know we talked about as a potential with that pec, he might have surgery on his pectoral muscle, but still, I think you get that situation. And also to pick it back to your points, the Jets were great. Getting 3 guys that could plug and play and they're ready to play right away. And then the Ravens, I think the sleeper pick with that one was David Njoku. I think getting him coupled with Mike McDonald as defense coordinator, that was his coordinator in Michigan as well. So like you said, Gene's point, where you can't question what the Ravens have done. They've been successful for 20 years. And every year they pretty much have hit a home run in the draft. Oh, you muted. You muted.
We'll be sure to edit that when the podcast comes out. But like I was saying, I forgot to mention Ojabo. Yes, he tore his Achilles when the draft process started, but he was going to be a top 10 pick before that happened. So, Jake, wrap it up for us. Who do you have as your winner of the draft?
All right. Well, I mean, I don't disagree with any of you. I mean, the Jets had a great draft. I was probably quoted as saying this is a draft that will change their franchise for a long time. They got at Big Applesauce Gardner, arguably the best cornerback after a cornerback was already taken at 4. You got Garrett Wilson, a receiver who can help your young quarterback. You got Jermaine Johnson, a top 4 pass rusher who's going to immediately come in and have one of the higher floors in this draft class. Then you go get the top running back, another player to help your quarterback. All great draft classes. You can have a lot of confidence. The Ravens got Travis Jones late, Isaiah Likely in the 6th round. Another great draft, a lot of low people. You could also mention the Chiefs, but the biggest winner here is Cole Strange, a projected 3rd round pick to end up in the 1st round on a team that is quoted as saying this kid is a winner. He's a team first guy and he's a hard worker. You do not question Bill Belichick, and knowing this, he will be a 10-year starter, 7-time Pro Bowler. Okay. They had departures to multiple interior offensive linemen in Shaq Mason. And this kid had better measurables than Tyler Linderbaum. He's 6'5", 370 pounds. He had longer arms at 33 inches, and he had 10-inch hands. He's an absolute physical monster, and he's pretty explosive for his size. Cole Strange is the biggest winner of this draft, by far.
I completely agree that he's the biggest winner, but we're going to get to this later.
I do disagree with that.
No, for sure. He will definitely be considered probably one of the bigger reaches of the draft. Don't get me wrong. But it's so hard to argue that he is not a winner here.
You're right.
He is a winner.
He is the winner.
He's a winner. I'm not saying he's going to be amazing. Just it's hard to question Bill Belichick, but he's a winner for sure. And I'm glad you all agree.
We'll talk about that.
Thank you.
Lately, you could question Belichick's draft, but what I thought was funny was during the draft when they made his name and they pop up his graphic for the stats. Everyone else in the 1st round had highlights. They couldn't find this kid's highlight for a good minute. They just left the stat sheet up and was like, "Yeah, we didn't expect this."
They didn't have him on the first page.
I mean, you also saw McAvee's reaction. Saying they wasted all this time scouting a 3rd round pick.
It was pretty wild. It was pretty wild. But other than that, guys, that's who we got for the winners of the draft. Honestly, you can make an argument for any of them. All of them were a great pick, but in reality, there's a couple teams who are bigger winners, even if they didn't have the best overall draft. And that is those teams who ended up, or the quarterbacks who ended up on a good team. So let me ask you, fellas, who do you guys have as your best quarterback pick of this draft? Coach, I'm going to go with you because something tells me you've been waiting to say this.
I mean, I look at Sam Howell. I just like the fact that with him, just obviously, I think he has an opportunity to potentially be a starter for this team maybe in the next year or two. He'll, learn under obviously with You say Taylor Heineke and also Carson Wentz. I know it's hard to say that.
It took a second.
Yeah, it took a second. I'm like, oh gosh, Carson Wentz. But anyway, I think a lot of people will see him. I think he's very solid quarterback. Obviously, if you look at his 2020 tape, he was very impressive. And obviously with 2021 was a little bit of drop off because obviously he had two of his receivers are in the NFL. He had two of his running backs were in NFL as well, and then also a new revamped offensive line that he had in 2021. I think he's going to be a fan favorite. Like I talked about on a lot of shows, I think he's going to have somewhat of a Colt Brennan type of impact on this team, the late, great Colt Brennan, where I think preseason is going to be very entertaining for at least the next maybe year or so. But I think he will become the starter. Like I think he might be the second, potentially could be the second most celebrated person in DC. We always know it's the president and the backup quarterback for the Commanders. So he'll definitely fit that mold. So Sam Howell, most definitely.
I tend to agree. If this isn't my number one pick, it's definitely my number two pick for best quarterback pick. What I think is crazy is how last year this kid was guaranteed number one quarterback going off the board no matter what. And now all of a sudden he dropped to the fifth round. Yes, he showed some things this year that made his value drop, but was it really that bad to go from the first all the way down to the fifth? There is some talent there. There's something there that made all those people say that is a first round pick. Jake, Giants, we have a little shaky quarterback issue going on. Some people, we mentioned it in the Big Blue Bodega, wanted Malik Willis to go on day 2. Thank God he did not go. Who do you think was the best quarterback pick or best team to for the best value, what they got?
I think the best I think the best pick the best quarterback pick would probably be when the Atlanta Falcons took Desmond Ritter. They got a quarterback that was some projected to have late in the first round, had a lot of rumors there. 2-time ACC Offensive Player of the Year, threw for 3,300 yards, 30 touchdowns last year. He led his team to an undefeated year. I mean, the guy's a winner. He's a winner. He played under the only offensive player other than him that was drafted was Alec Pierce. He was a good receiver. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't have a lot of talent surrounding him in that offense. I think he's going to have time to sit under Mariota. They're obviously building an offense. They have Kyle Pitts. They have Drake London. They have Cordell Patterson. So if you give him that year and give him that time, and you add these weapons and you scheme them right, he could be a good quarterback with a good offense around him. And I think that you can't value that in the third round. It's a great value.
I do think it's a good position pick that Atlanta went, but I don't think they got the right guy. I think he was just getting blown up a little bit during this process because there was a video of him having huge arm talent, but it wasn't even the best throw when it was shown. It was a little sloppy. You could tell. It took almost a lot out of it. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm personally not a Ritter fan. I think he's going to be, at best, a very good backup quarterback. Gene, who do you think was the best pick out of this entire draft?
I think it's Kenny Pickett. I mean, You just look at the Steelers. I mean, they're always good, and if they believe in a guy, you have to trust them. And what do? First thing they do, second-round pick, Pickens from Georgia, who's, if he doesn't get hurt going into this past season, another first-round pick. So you pair him up with Claypool, Deontay Johnson, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they have tons of weapons there. Najee Harris, their offensive line is going to be improved. I'm sure Mike Tomlin's got a very solid plan for him. I expect him to be the starter at some point this year, if not week 1. Mr. Trubisky is just a stopgap. I think he's going to end up having a good career there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little easy escape, but that's definitely my number one pick too, just because of the situation he's had.
For sure.
He's literally went to school right down the block, so it's not like it's really going to be anything new. It's probably the same exact fans, honestly, who've been rooting for him. You do wonder a little bit about the little hands thing, but I mean, with Mike Tomlin, he's going to figure something out. They've never been under 500 since I've been alive.
Two gloves a lot too.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure his hand grew from his measurement from the combine to.
I can't lie. I measured my hand and it's bigger than 8.5, and that scared me. I can't.
That's pretty bad. I should measure my hand because that's pretty bad. I'm
not going to embarrass myself.
I was like, impossible that there's a guy in the NFL with small hands than me.
Yeah, see, that's a little worrisome.
Yeah, I just couldn't imagine on a cold, snowy day in Pittsburgh,
Exactly.
But you're right.
He's done it before.
Also,
literally, he's done it in Pittsburgh. So
also they got what's this guy's name? They got Najee Harris too, so they don't need him to constantly hold the ball. And let's be honest,
Pickett can run.
That's
he's mobile.
That's exactly how Pittsburgh has won most of their championships was from literally good running game and a great defense. But regardless, so that's the best quarterback picks of the draft. So we have obviously the quarterbacks are who go make the biggest difference on each team. So you get a good value whether they're in the first round, whether they're in the middle rounds. So speaking of the middle rounds, who do you guys think was the biggest sleeper of the draft? One of those guys who, he didn't go in the first round, but he went somewhere in the middle, and he's definitely going to most likely be a huge contributor this year. Coach, who do you think they sleeping on?
Kobe Bryant. I think I'm serious. Yeah, so Kobe Bryant went. Yeah, so he went to Seattle. As another guy look at it because people fail to realize. I know a lot of people look at, Sauce Gardner, no one scored a touchdown on him and this and third. But people fail to realize that Kobe Bryant actually won a Jim Thorpe Award as the best cornerback in the country. So you think about it, they're gonna key in on Sauce. So obviously, they're gonna target Kobe Bryant. So I think him couple, especially with Jamal Adams in that backfield, in that defensive backfield, I think he's definitely gonna be a guy I think that could potentially make an impact down the line. I looked at the depth chart. I think he's like second in line, but I think he'll be a guy. I think down the line, I think people gonna really realize, hey, he should have been took a little bit higher. So that's my sleeper.
I like that pick because, like you said, he's seeing all those targets, and that just really shows. People sleep on that when you have one guy shutting down the entire side of the field. Even if the numbers might not look as great as obviously Sauce's numbers, it's because he's getting targeted the whole time. Everyone's avoiding Sauce. So that's a great sleeper pick. I think it was hilarious how Jake thought you actually meant Kobe Bryant.
No, I knew who he meant. Kobe Bryant. Kobe with a C. I read an article about it. I watched him at the draft saying how he was very, very, very appreciative of having the same name. I knew who he was.
You with your Lakers hoodie had me a little worried.
I didn't think about it. Who was right with Lakers?
So, since the spotlight's on you, Jake, who you think they sleeping on?
Kingsley and Nagbar and Ngabar, I can't pronounce his name, but out of South Carolina, defensive end. He went in the 5th round at 179 to the Packers. I mean, this was a steal and a half. A lot of people have this kid is projected as a day 2 pick, more in round 2, late round 2, early round 3. But to get him 100 picks later than kind of where he was on most people's big board is a huge, huge steal. He has starter potential. He's going to be a rotational piece to kind of replace Darius Smith. He's got long arms. He's a massive dude. He's very strong. Now the big problem is he doesn't have that great first step that a lot of these athletic edges kind of have right now. He's not explosive, but he's very strong. He's going to win a lot of battles, and I think in the trenches. And I think this is a great value pick in the 5th round.
It's those 5th rounders are the ones who win you championships. So if he ends up being as great as you say he's going to be, he could end up being
I wouldn't say great. I wouldn't say great or even an all-pro, but just to get a serviceable, good, slightly above average starter in the 5th round. I mean, I think that's great, especially for a line that's going to need help in rotation pieces behind Rashawn Gary and stuff. So this is a good move. This is a great pick.
Oh, for sure. See, another pick that I think was great. My value pick is Damon Clark, or I hope I'm pronouncing it. Damon, I'm not sure. I'm bad with names. You guys know it. Linebacker out of LSU. Only reason he fell down to, I believe it was the 5th round to the Dallas Cowboys is because he had a herniated disc injury. So that is a little scary thing to hear.
Very scary.
A back injury, yes. Yeah. But if he didn't have this back injury, he would be number 1. So the Cowboys do like taking their chances, but when you get a linebacker coming out of LSU, they do produce great linebackers. They actually have another linebacker from LSU, Jabril Cox, I think his name is. I mentioned him last year in the episode we did together, Coach, where I actually mentioned Jabril Cox saying he was going to be the sleeper pick last year. And then look, Dallas took him. Like I said, every time I'm rooting for someone, Dallas ends up taking them. So Damon Clark he's exactly the same status. He has great off-the-field character, where he's going to bring another leadership kind of mentality to that locker room, and they need that real bad at this moment. And other than that, Dallas, when they take injured players, they have produced some great players. You look at Jalen Smith, you look at Ronald Leary, Bruce Carter, and Sean Lee. Yes, they were all injured when they got drafted, and yes, most of them are a little bit injury prone, but when they were healthy, they are producing great talent. So you throw Damon Clark in there with the rest of that linebacker corp with LVE, and whoever else. I think, honestly, he's going to be a sleeper pick when healthy. He might end up being one of the best linebackers in that group. Gene, out of all the names you just heard right now, which one do you think has the best chance of making an impact on his team?
Well, out of all those names, I like the defensive end from the Packers. I think they have a lot of bodies there already, so I think that they're going to be able to wear down offensive linemen so that as they keep rotating in and out, they're going to have fresh legs. And I think that, he's a good player. That he's a really good player, that guy. And I think that he's going to get the most opportunity because they're going to play meaningful games and they're going to be chasing teams down in the fourth quarter. So I think he's got the best shots.
Definitely, and all they did in Green Bay over there was just add more to the defense. They added a couple linemen here or there. They didn't help Aaron Rodgers out much, but hey, when you're making that much money, you better make some magic happen. Some people with the amount of money Aaron Rodgers took would just be like, come on, man, what are you doing? So speaking of come on, man, what was your guys' come on, man pick of the draft? Who was taken, aside from Cole Strange, because I know someone has him on the list, who was taken that made you go, come on, man, because we already mentioned Cole Strange. I'm sorry, I know. Jake, who was your come on, man pick of the draft? Because you had Cole Strange as the winner.
Kenyan Green. Houston, Texas, their second pick in the first round. I mean, you're getting your Texas guy, but you're getting probably arguably the third best interior line in the draft early in the first round. To me, it made no sense with so much other talent on the board. It would have roster that is so bare and lacks so much talent. I just don't understand. I really don't understand the Texans draft kind of as a whole. Even when taking Derek Stingley, you're getting arguably the second best corner off the board at 3, and then you're going to take Kenyan Green. Just an average interior lineman, like just so many other needs that are just a more premium position. I get you want to sort of protect Davis Hills, but it's a bad pick. It was a bad pick in my opinion. He's a big dude, but that's really all he's got going for him in my opinion.
Coach, your eyes got big when Jake said that name. What's your opinion on that pick?
It's funny, but I agree with it. It's funny because I remember in the beginning of the draft process, probably right after the season was over, he was kind of like guy one on my wish list for Washington. So it was funny, like when he said that, I was like, yep, that was a guy I kind of keyed on. But obviously, as the draft progressed and everything, all the prospects, I had other guys on the wish list. But yeah, that was
So, who was your come on, man pick? Was it your very own Washington Commanders? Because I know you and Cruz, when that name was called in the first round, you guys weren't too happy.
I think we were a little bit more relaxed, and I think cooler heads prevailed because we had to do a show like 3 days after the fact. But the Patriots getting Bailey Zapp, I didn't understand that pick. I thought that was kind of, especially when you already have are we allowed to call Mac Jones a Pro Bowler?
You have your franchise quarterback at the moment.
Right. In other words, right. So I'm just saying that's just semantics that he was.
Mr. Trubisky's a Pro Bowler too. Then
correct, Joe. Yeah, my guy. That's another UNC guy. But Bailey Zapp, where especially considering the fact, in all seriousness, like you said, I think they do have their franchise quarterback, and then you're gonna bring in the guy that his second year, like what's wrong with Brian Hoyer? Like it's being his backup and just playing it as is. But now you're gonna bring in a guy like a Bailey Zapp. It's almost, to me, I feel like it's a wasted pick because he's 9 times out of 10 isn't gonna see the field, like potentially, if So the team that drafted Cole Strange, it was really strange to me as well. So,
yeah. My thing about I'm sorry for interrupting, Jason. My thing about them taking Bailey Zapp late was, they kind of did the same thing when they took Ryan Mallett, and then they wound up moving him for Jimmy Garoppolo, and then wound up trading Jimmy Garoppolo when he played a couple games and Brady got hurt. And there's nothing wrong bringing in competition because Mac Jones knows he's winning this role. This is his starting role. You know what I mean? So you have to keep a fire lit under him to make sure he wants to get better and keep that strides going. So I do actually like this pick, but it is definitely a little bit of a head scratcher, like for sure. But he's just smart. He had probably one of the higher. I think he had the highest Wonderlic score this year in the draft for all quarterbacks.
Like
he also threw the most yards and touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's hard. Like it was hard when I said the Cole Strange pick. Like it's hard to question. It's really hard to question Bill Belichick. But I kind of like this pick for them. I know a lot of people are head scratching this, but I like the pick.
I like it too.
I get what you're saying with, yes, chess. Bill Belichick is going to end up trading these players for that. But at the same time, it's different when you're trading Ryan Mallett because he's under Tom Brady than you're trading Bailey Zapp because he's under Mac Jones.
Thank you.
There's a lot of value.
Yeah, peers, right. And they're essentially peers.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's his colleague. That's not his mentor. That's his colleague. They chill around the water cooler. They get a coffee for each other once in a while. They're almost equal talent. Like we're saying, if Bailey Zapp takes over this role, Mac Jones has to be a little scared that if he gets hurt and Bailey Zapp steps in there and the offense looks just as good, if not slightly better, who's saying that job's his? Bill Belichick's crazy. But, hey, like you say, Jake, I guess we'll trust Bill Belichick. I'm not personally a person who trusts his drafts. Gene definitely isn't a person who's been trusting his drafts lately. Gene, is Belichick one of your command man picks, or do you have another guy?
So, off the bat, you hear the Cole Strange name from Chattanooga, and you're like, what? But then you look at, what Jake said. The measurables are there. The tape is there. But then I heard that Bill Belichick only had 19 guys that deserved a first round grade. When you could see that, so that he traded back once. He tried to trade back again, but couldn't. I don't know. That's what I heard. So I mean, like they said, so if you only have 19 guys graded as a first round, then you might as well just take a guy that you like. And if he's your guy, then he's your guy, I guess. But like Jake said, Cole Strange, no doubt, the winner of the draft, that signing bonus, he should be thanking Bill Belichick for the rest of his life. 5th-year option, good for him. Good for that guy.
I really think it's hilarious how just he had no highlights when the pick was made. Man, that's how you
they
know
were not ready.
No film of that.
I was surprised he probably didn't have a watch party with him. You know what I mean? Like no one thought he was gonna take it.
He said my watch party's on Saturday, not Friday.
Friday, exactly.
That's funny, man. That is funny. I didn't know about the watch party. My command man pick is Kenneth Walker in the 2nd round, running back from Michigan State to the Seattle Seahawks. How many running backs do you need? First of all, how many high draft picks do you need to spend on a running back to finally just be happy with what you got? They wasted a 1st-round pick on Rashad Penny because that's just never panned out ever.
Yeah, that was a bad pick.
2 games.
And then 2 more on Jamal Adams. They just wasted 1st-round picks.
And then you also got
useless positions.
You also got Chris Carson, who was what? He was a 3rd, 4th rounder, and he's been your best running back for years. So why are you still taking running backs in the 2nd round, like Kenneth Walker? It makes no sense, especially with how many holes this team has. They're in a complete rebuild at the moment, aside from the wide receiver position. And you're already talking about trading one, if not both of them. So it makes no sense when you're in this rebuild mode to take a running back. Yes, I mean, the Jets took a running back, but they're way closer in the process than the Seattle Seahawks are anywhere near the process. They're closer to almost the ground floor level of just blowing.
They're on the way down in the process.
Exactly. They haven't popped the U-turn yet. They're like you said, they're on the way down. So it's just why take the running back? I get you don't trust Drew Lock. Exactly. Exactly. But it doesn't make sense. I get you don't trust Drew Lock and you want to have, I guess, as many running backs to run it by committee and try and just distract people how bad Drew Lock is, but it makes 0 sense.
Well, I believe isn't Seattle trying to switch to more of a run heavy offense this year?
They've always been run heavy. The one year they let Russ cook, he passed.
That's why Russ cook became a thing, because all they did was run.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean.
So aside from that, guys, we're about to wrap it up here. Just what were your overall thoughts on the draft, guys? I thought it was one of the craziest drafts in years.
It's chaos. It was utter chaos.
Yeah,
literally. And that was, like I said, 9 trades in day 1. And there's I was doing research. I thought we at least talk about half of them, but it's almost impossible.
I mean, when was the last time you had actually no clue how the top 5 was going to go? No clue.
It's true. That is true.
You could always say the draft starts at 3 or 4 or something, and you literally had no idea until he said the first name. Not even the first guy.
Yeah, you're right. There's so much mystery kind of surrounding this draft, and with such a mediocre quarterback class as of right now coming in, we'll see what the future holds. But such a mediocre class. Like no one really knew what was going to happen. Like there was more of a wide receiver carousel.
I mean, that's not going to change
carousel.
either. The wide receiver thing is not going to change with the money that they're getting paid.
Yeah,
rather
for
just
sure.
pay them on their first contract and let them walk. It's going to continue.
Yep.
Christian Kirk, man, he changed the NFL forever. Simple as that.
That was such a bad deal.
I mean, really, it was Adams, but yeah, Kirk at 18 or 19 is just ridiculous.
Well, no, yeah, he set the floor, and then once he set that floor, literally every other receiver, that's where you get Debo and you get A.J. Brown and everyone just looking like, how the hell is this guy making that much money? And I'm still on my rookie contract.
It's the Reggie Jackson contract of the NBA.
Yeah, so I also want to point out that the Cincinnati Bearcats had more players drafted this year than Alabama. Just so you know.
It's an interesting fact. Interesting fact. Thank you for
because they had what 9.
Bama had 8.
Yep.
Cincinnati had 9.
9 players drafted.
All on defense.
Yeah, except they had a load there. They had a loaded defense. They had Darian Beavers, Applesauce. What's his face? Kobe Bryant, Brian Cook, Desmond Ritter, Alex Pierce. I forgot the other 2, but you know that's very impressive for like that small kind of university, small school. Like that's huge for them, you know.
Yeah.
What that tells me though is that big year they had this year, it ain't gonna repeat next year.
No. I mean, I don't see them ever. To be honest, for the next 30 years, I don't see them ever even coming close to probably making a college football playoff run. I hope they do, all 4 of them, but I don't think.
Hey, their coach is big time. Their coach is big time.
Yeah, Luke Finkel. Yeah, he's
big time coach.
Big time. They better keep him because there's a couple. I know some places he can go.
Yeah, that's true.
But speaking of big time, thank you, Coach, for joining us. You were big time, sir, yourself. We appreciate you having here. Before we let you out, you got any final words you want to speak to the people? Let them know where to catch you at.
Yeah, most definitely. Once again, Bars, definitely appreciate you for having me on the pod. So you can follow the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Couch Coach Live, and just follow us on social media under Couch Coach Live. Appreciate the invite.
And other than that, thank you, folks, for joining us. That was our NFL draft review. We actually were able to get every topic in, thank God, because it was a crazy – no, I mean, technically not every topic. I had a list that was like 20 times bigger, but I was like, there's no way we're fitting this into one episode. So maybe me and Jake will break it down in a later episode. But like I said, if you guys want to check out the Giants review, be sure to check out the Big Blue Bodega episode. And also, don't forget to check out that episode with the good doctor. Me and Jurg had a great interview with him talking about sports stigmas and how he can unlock untapped potential through simple rehab. Gene was supposed to be on that episode, but unfortunately, he was trying to save some lives and untap some hidden potential. Hopefully, he could be there for the next one, though, because I think having Doc and Eugene is going to be electric.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of good brains in the room.
Oh, dude, I felt smart just leaving that. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for joining me, folks. Thank you, gentlemen, for having time for this draft. Thank you. Folks, be sure to, like I said, the last sign out, review. We need those reviews. I want to know exactly what we're doing right, what we're not doing right. 5 stars and leave a review. Thank you, guys. Until next time, we'll see you next week.